Hi there. In this lecture we see an absolutely brilliant game. Bukhuti Gurgenidze against Nezhmetdinov, 1957, USSR Championship round 1. We see e4 from Gurgenidze, e5 from Nezhmetdinov, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, we have a6, bishop a4, knight f6, queen e2, and now b5, bishop b3, bishop c5. We have c3, d6, both sides castle, rook d1, queen e7, h3, the bishop drops back, d4, bishop b7, d5. So does this blunt the bishop on b7? Can black do something to liberate this bishop? So both bishops could potentially be pointing in the direction of white's king. Later we see knight a5, bishop c2. So key move here, what would you play? Positional move for 10 points. c6, yeah, try and open up the bishop. D takes, knight takes c6, bishop g5, h6. White gives up the dark square bishop. We have knight bd2, knight e7, knight f1. There is this backward pawn target as compensation. Knight g6, g3, keeping the knight out of f4. Queen e6. Now here, white goes really quite badly wrong, overestimating the position totally, underestimating the opponent's resources here, because, I mean, we do basically have two bishops pointing at white's king here. You can imagine with f5 that would be useful. White plays, casually knight e3, not really estimating king safety that much. Just king h2 is simple and effective just to protect the h3 pawn, not swapping h3 to win d6. If we look at this position, let's say knight e7, it's an even position. If white wanted to be more adventurous with bishop b3, again, this isn't such a good idea even here to win d6. It looks as though, well, white's winning material. There's a threat of rook takes b6. There's a threat of rook takes g6. It's not actually as clear as you think, even this variation. Can you see what black can play here, which is basically very, very strong? Yeah, bishop c5. The rook really has to go back, and this position black has a small edge, waiting, for an opportunity of f5 later, perhaps. If rook takes g6, can you see what the problem is? What does black play here? Yeah, actually just queen h5. The knight's pinned to the queen. That rook's got nowhere to run. If it has to give itself up, black has a big advantage. So yes, it does turn out that knight e3, yeah, just king h2. So the problem with knight e3, this queen's around the king, taking escape squares. Does it really matter about d6? So that's taken. If knight f5, d5 is pretty liberating for black's position. We've got all sorts of fun stuff here. If rook takes, if white gives up the exchange to try and stabilize things, black's going to get tremendous activity now and double on the file, on the e file. Big advantage. So rook takes d6 is played. Bishop c5 here. Rook takes g6. So yes, black can just open up the rook now. If the rook had gone back, f5 is really quite a lot of fun to analyze. Look at the arrows we've got, against white's king. Basically, we've got a lot of arrows pointing at white's king. X-rays. Basically, there's a lot of X-rays going on. If e takes f5, knight f4 is really quite crushing. G takes, bishop takes f3. The queen would have to give herself up because of queen h1, checkmate threat. Let's look at this again. So knight takes f5, we have rook takes f5. E takes, we have queen takes g3 check using the pinned pawn. Check, bishop takes f3 will do. Huge advantage here. So this position, queen h1 check, just to take it a bit further. It's absolutely a winning position here for black. A whole bishop up. Queen f1, if that's the strongest, or queen h5, f takes e4. We're still going to have a very nice position. Check, g takes, knight takes g2. We get a very nice advantage here. So yes, this does seem rather devastating. Rook d2, f5, whatever happens, it's really good for black. So rook takes g6 is tried, f takes, and now knight takes e5. Okay, so here, Nezhmetdinov might not be playing the most optimal move, but I don't want to spoil the resources that he shows later. So let's just go with Nezhmetdinov's move, because there's similar resources come up. So rook d1. So what is the resource which is really quite amazing here in this position for 100 points? Black to play. It's actually rook takes f2, believe it or not. Yeah, this is really quite powerful. So king takes f2 was played. If queen takes f2, what would be the point? The x-rays are not for nothing. These bishops looking at the king, queen looking around the king. Rook f8. Yeah, rook f8. It leaves white in a helpless state. If queen takes f8, we take on e3, take on g3 here. Huge advantage. If queen e1, guess what we play here? Yeah, rook f1 check. Get the queen away from the knight. Absolutely winning. So yes, it does seem as though rook f8 is an amazing resource. We have king takes f2, queen h2 check, king e1. If king f1, then rook f8 check, and here queen takes g3. We're going to be winning here. So king e1, queen takes g3 check, taking out e5. Yeah, we've got we're material up here, and the king's not very safe. We have knight d5. If king c1, actually we can punish that knight. Queen f4, pinning the knight, taking out e4. It's just an absolutely winning position for black. This position, bishop takes c2 check, taking. We're absolutely winning here. We're going to be winning material with bishop f2, more material. Bishop f2 coming up, it's hopeless. So white tried knight d5, but now stopping the king running away to safety, queen g5 check, and this ends the game. If knight e3, rook d8 check, and the king's moving away from the knight, we can just take the knight with a massive advantage. If king e1, yeah, just taking on e3, rook takes. What we can do here, instead of taking on d8, what would you do here? What's strongest? We actually throw in this check. This changes everything. So that makes taking the rook check with check. And if king f1, queen h1 is checkmate. So yes, queen h4 check makes all the difference. If we take the rook immediately, queen takes e3. Is not so much an advantage as the check. It makes so much difference, the check here. But anyway, the game ended at queen g5 check. A really nice game. Very nice opening, it has to be said. Compare and contrast to the French defense. Look at black's bishops compared to what you might have if you play the French defense in some variations. You know, this is Arcangulist territory. It's quite often variations involving bishop c5 of the Ruy Lopez. So it's like both bishops are really quite good here. A lot of fun. So d5, yeah, it could be undermined, and the bishops are really quite good. But white was playing in such a risky manner, letting the queen be on h3. You know, Nezhmetdinov asking for trouble here to take out d6. Tempting as it may be, because it hits b6 and g6. This temptation. But yeah, bishop c5, powerful move. Very powerful move. In all the variations. Amazing stuff. Amazing. So yes, rook takes, f takes. But yeah, if the rook had gone back, then f5. Look at the x-rays around the king. This is what makes brilliant attacking chess. With the black pieces. Wonderful stuff. Hope you enjoyed it as much as me. Thanks so much. All comments, questions, likes and subscribes, really appreciated. Thanks so much.